Good evening, I'm Devin Skillian. Also at 11 tonight, a teenager charged with stealing $1 million. You see how police say he pulled off the huge heist. There's a new way to shop for a college with a credit card like no other. To see how the money you're spending now can help pay for school in the future. Those stories and a lot more, including Chuck's weekend forecast, when you join us tonight at 11, right after an all-new Law & Order.
Listen, something is happening in our town. Something special and something unforgettable. Something big at Gardner White. You pay no interest till 2004. I repeat, no interest, none. 0 interest till 2004. And forget the sales tax. Gardner White pays it for you. Yeah, they pay your sales tax too. All the prices are cut. You save tons of money. They call it the mega sale. You cannot do better. Make the time to go to Gardner White this weekend.
Unlike Juicy Juice, some juice drinks contain as little as 10% real juice. So we wondered, what would it be like if 10% were acceptable for other things in life?
Once upon a time, there was a beautiful princess. The end.
Obviously, 10% just doesn't cut it. That's why Juicy Juice is 100% juice with no added sugars or artificial flavors. Libby's Juicy Juice, 100% juice for 100% kids.
Read it again.
When your hair looks good, life is good. Fantastic Sam's gotta be the hair.
I've never seen anything like it. The color, the cut, brilliant. And the center, it's like heaven itself.
It's a muffin, Sam. It's not the Hope Diamond.
Tim Hortons' new Blueberry Burst Muffins. Mouth-watering blueberries and a delicious fruit filling. Enjoy any muffin in medium coffee, just $1.59.
What are you doing now?
Appraising.
Years is presented to you by Johnson & Johnson.
Behold, the only thing greater than yourself.
Roots changed television. They've opened a whole new way of putting on dramatic shows. That's one of the wonderful things that television can do.
I'm proud to have been a part of Roots because I'm proud of being a part of the awakening.
It took us out of the intellectual, this is what we think about history, and made us live it.
Roots made everybody sit down for 8 nights and examine the ills of slavery from the slave's point of view.
It had everything you want. It had drama, it had death, it had sex. I mean, those are things, let's be honest, that gravitate people to their sets.
You got a sense of white America thinking, damn, that really happened.
I, Jimmy Carter, do solemnly swear
that I will faithfully execute.
That I will faithfully execute.
It was the 70s, and the country was on the move. Wherever you looked, people were disco dancing, roller skating, and marching for equal rights. But in January 1977, everything stopped for 8 nights as millions of Americans were glued to their television sets. Hi, I'm LeVar Burton, and playing Kunta Kinte in the epic miniseries Roots was as unforgettable for me as it was for the 130 million viewers who night after night followed Kunta's struggle for freedom and made it their own. Based on Alex Haley's Pulitzer Prize-winning novel, Roots, the Saga of an American Family, tells the story of 7 generations of the Kinte clan. Never before had the horrors of slavery been so vividly depicted. Never before had the story been told from the black perspective. And never before that audiences of all races embraced a show in such numbers and with such emotion. 25 years later, Roots remains the third highest-rated television event in history. The legacy of Roots is alive. It's real. And we celebrate it tonight.
Alex Haley began researching in late '64, early '65, and as he began to do the research, he got interested in his grandparents, and then he got interested in his great-grandparents, and then he got interested in his great-great-grandparents. No African American had ever done this before. They had never gotten back behind the Civil War and been able to trace their roots. There was terrific buzz about this book. Not only was Roots evocative for African Americans, but it had a huge and fascinated white audience.
Alex and I have a lot in common. He and I were both in the Navy. We both wrote a book. Mine was called Why Not the Best? His was.
I heard that there was a project being done about a black man who had traced his ancestry all the way back to Africa. And I thought that is fascinating. And that someone was going to do it as a miniseries.
It was David Wolper and Stanley Margulies who decided to produce it.
Roots did not sound like a good idea at the beginning. The network was a little nervous about it. Here's a story where the blacks are the heroes and the whites are the villains in a country that's 90% white and 10% black. But there was something about that family story that struck everybody who heard it. There was something about that linkage of your whole life, of a man's linkage going back to Africa and being able to find the actual person.
They had seen every young black kid who had an agent. The call came in to USC. Have you got any young black actors that we can look at? 1976, I was screen tested. I was studying theater. I had no concept, no clue about what it meant to act for the camera.
We're very close to being men, Yoboto.
It was the network who really was hesitant about casting the kid that clearly had a good screen test, but had no professional experience.
It seemed like every African American in America wanted to be in Roots. I know I did.
I really thought that most white actors would shy from doing this show about black oppression. Lo and behold, I found that they were breaking each other's legs to get in line to do this show.
Once I had found out that I had gotten the part of the young Kunta Kinte, Alex Haley's African ancestor, it was a thrill and a complete whirlwind. 2 weeks later, I was on location. It was acting royalty that made up the entire cast of Roots, but particularly wonderful were the performances of the actors who portrayed Alex Haley's family through the generations. John Amos played the older Kunta Kinte. Kunta would marry and have a daughter named Kizzy, played by Leslie Uggams. Ben Vereen played Kizzy's son, Chicken George, who by the end of the miniseries was emancipated, along with his wife, Matilda, played by the wonderful Olivia Cole. Making Roots was an absolutely unforgettable experience for all of us.
I joined the company in Savannah, Georgia. I was really caught up in it. I lived in West Africa for many years. The villages looked so familiar. The birds were the same birds that hitched rides on the back of the same cattle. It was as if I had gone to sleep in a motel in Savannah and awakened on the west coast of Africa.
Grandmother, peace on you. What are you doing? Wait, stop it.
are you? Hunter, teacher. You were a dirty-bottom baby when I first saw you. And when you forget that, I'll come and remind you again. You can grow as tall as a tree, and I will still be your grandmother.
My very first day as a professional actor, Maya Angelou is playing my grandmother. I have died and gone to actor heaven.
What about Lamine, your baby brother? I felt sorry that I had played the part that sent the boy into the jungle to get a tree and make him then vulnerable and available to slavers.
What was historic about it was that a network was going to take the risk of putting a show on in strip across a week.
Well, it was on 8 nights because they wanted to get rid of it. They thought, oh my gosh, this is terrible. So we'll just put it on every night. No one will watch it, and this way, you know, we'll get it out of the way.
My father made very clear that we were all going to watch Roots, and it was dinner and then Roots every night.
I got to see the first night, which was Sunday, and then the last night, which was the following Sunday. And all I could do was hear the kids at school talk about it.
When I was 8 years old, to be allowed to stay up late at night to see something, it was something that was almost forbidden. Why would they put something like Roots on late at night? You know, you have to ask your parents' permission. There was a sense of something hidden. Something bad had happened.
And the TV came on as we sat there and watched. It was silence in a way I had never experienced it.
When Kunta Kinte was stolen, he was indeed stolen and robbed of everything that was familiar and important in just feeling human.
I remember cheering for him. Please get away, you can make it, you can make it. And he didn't.
It was at that point I said, wait, this is different.
Running out of those marshes into that huge expanse of sand, and you see the proximity of his pursuers. And then they get a whip around him. And before he can even think, there's a shackle there. And then in the next moment, there's another shackle on his other wrist.
It was really hard to grapple with those images, you know, and I was trying to reach for air, you know, like, wow, is there going to be any lighthearted moments? Is there any happiness in this whole thing? To think that a group of people could do this to someone else, you know. I was even angry with us because there were Africans who allowed it.
Get in there! Get in there!
This is how it started. They didn't ask to come here. They were not willing immigrants. They were kidnapped. They were beaten into submission. They were put in chains.
Slavery is the worst chapter in American history. And whatever is second, you won't find.
I want to hear you say your name.
Roots, celebrating 25 years, is sponsored in part by Dove and Sears.
Go back, go, throw the ball, catch the ball, go, go, go. What happened? Darn it.
Order an Hitachi projection TV at Sears, and we'll deliver it in time for the big game.
Corner of the end zone, touchdown!
And get 0% for 1 year on all projection TVs. Delivery guaranteed by February 3rd, only at Sears. Where else?
I love sharing my passion, but being a dance teacher really takes a toll on your skin, on your body. After a long day of dancing, my skin craves nourishment.
With stripes of cleanser and vitamin E lotion, Dove Nutrium replenishes essential nutrients and actually improves skin for a healthier glow.
It's like Nutrium feeds my skin, it gives it nourishment. I try to stay physically fit and healthy because your body's your instrument. It makes your skin so soft.
Roots, for the first time on DVD.
Behold, Kunta Kinte.
Experience the story that forever changed the heart of a nation.
Someday, we're gonna be free.
Roots. Buy it today on DVD.
year, more than ever. One team, one goal. Bringing home the gold. McDonald's, a worldwide Olympic partner.
After 26 years of marriage, Tom and I realized we're a little different from each other. We do everything together, but each in our own way. Except for one thing. For aspirin therapy, our doctor says we should both take the same dose, a single 81 milligram St. Joseph aspirin. The dosage doctors recommend most for aspirin therapy, because too much aspirin just isn't a good idea. For anybody, St. Joseph aspirin. Trust it with all your heart.
For the rest of the television season, Providence is all new. No more repeats.
Let's take it to the show on the road.
And next Friday, a romance reaches its breaking point.
I'm sorry if I hurt you.
And for Sid, a new romance begins.
Are you free tonight at 8:30?
An all-new Providence, NBC Friday.
A lot of people might have felt that they couldn't watch Roots because it was too painful. It was exposing wounds that they didn't want exposed.
Roots became a national phenomenon because we watched together. We watched, as a nation, and we watched by the millions.
We heard about Roots everywhere. Everywhere. We heard about it in the barbershop. We heard about it in the supermarkets. We heard about it in church.
College campuses, rooms were filled wherever there was a television. It was a very public event.
Kunta Kinte and Chicken George and Fiddler and Kizzy, they're all household names overnight. All of us talked about them. All of us related to these people. And we just pulled for them.
Each time I watched Roots, I was amazed, and I had no clue what was coming next.
Alex brought me a Galleys copy, and he had put a bookmark in the section that began with the middle passage. And he said, this might be of interest to you. I stayed up until like 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning reading. And then when we got in there, it was dark, and we were all in chains, and the prop master had this huge bucket of oatmeal that he was slopping all over the planks and all over us. And there was no air, and it was physically uncomfortable, but it was psychologically difficult. To the point where I believe what happened for me is I checked out. LeVar left, and someone else came in. When I saw all those people crowded like cattle into the belly of a slave ship and treated like animals, it's made me feel disgusted.
I could almost smell the dank air. I can almost smell people's bodies.
First of all, I'm claustrophobic. So therefore, I would have had a terrible time being there shackled with everybody else and lack of breathing space and couldn't move around. So I would have been horrified. I probably would have made it out of the port.
Everybody is helpless, no matter how great of a warrior they were, or great a soldier they were, or how high their position had been in their own society.
That's why so many of them jumped the ship. Even then, they knew that they would rather die than live the life that they were about to live.
I have that same journey in my past. My ancestors came over here on a boat, in the hold of a ship, in chains. And that same truth holds true for, as I say, every other American of African descent in this country.
I wasn't a naive person. I knew about slavery. I knew some of the facts. But there was a tremendous amount of information there I never thought about, or I'd never experienced.
I guess I thought slaves were just slaves in the South. It never occurred to me how they got here.
You could never tell yourself, it's just a story, it's not real. It was the story of
thousands and thousands and thousands of human beings.
People think that slavery happened such a long, long time ago. But you go 2 generations back and you may find a slave.
My great-grandparents were slaves, and so understanding their history allows me to understand who I am.
The Kunta Kinte character was my grandfather and great-grandfather. My great-grandmother was a slave. My great-grandfathers were slaves.
I come from a long line of people who were brought here enslaved. So it's rather tragic. And I remember that very distinctly, thinking, so what was our name? Anybody? Bill? Hobart? Katie? Wilson? Not one African name.
I want to hear you say your name. Your name is Toby. What's your name?
Kunta.
The imagery of that moment was very intense. I remember crying, being very confused, and having my mother to hold me.
What's your name? Say it! Toby!
His name was something that his father thought long and hard over. And the name that he came up with, Kunta Kinte, and explaining to him while holding him to the moon and the stars, that as I hold you up, the only thing greater than you is this.
What's your name?
Toby.
And in the sequence where ultimately Lou Gossett unties Kunta from the stake and holds him in his arms and grabs the nearest rag and some water, Lou Gossett went off script and made up his own dialogue.
Did you care what that white man called you? Did you say Toby? What you care? You know who you be? Kunta. That's who you always be. Kunta Kinte. There's gonna be another day. You hear me?
Kunta Kinte was Malcolm, you know. He's Dr. King, he's Malcolm. There's a nobility that exists in some people that they can't survive if a certain part of them is taken away. And those are the ones that we worship because we know that they're right.
We were finally going to buy my grandson a big boy bed. I was on chemo then, and I was exhausted.
If you're a chemotherapy patient and feel tired, you may be anemic. Ask your doctor about Procrit to regain red blood cells. More red blood cells can mean more strength. Procrit is proven and safe. In studies, only diarrhea and edema occurred more often with Procrit than placebo. Procrit is for patients with non-myeloid cancers.
He takes a lot of energy, but I never get tired of him.
Hey, it's your world. Let AT&T connect you to it. Because with access to technology and to the people working with your community, your personal vision can become an unstoppable force, creating a world without limits. Go ahead.
Live boundless.
I've had cookies and milk at 3:30 every day for 9 years.
Variety is dangerous.
I'm a creature of habit. If it's artificial, I'll
Leader, the snack window is very small.
Conformity is comfortable. Change makes me worry.
Brace yourselves for a radical idea in snacks. Ragu Express, an individual serving of pasta ready in just 3.5 minutes, topped with real Ragu sauce.
I shudder to think.
Take a hike.
Ragu Express, real pasta, real sauce, real fast.
Don't rock my boat.
You're watching Roots, celebrating 25 years on NBC.
NBC Sunday. All the stars are coming out to party. Live and unpredictable.
It's just like high school.
I got an idea how to make this movie, man.
The Golden Globe Awards, Sunday 7, 6 Central, only on NBC. Sponsored by Target. Expect more, pay less.
This week, your favorite storyline heats up with your favorite characters. The People's Choice Award winner for favorite daytime drama series, Days of Our Lives.
What's more remarkable than Buick's all-new Rendezvous? $2,002 bonus cash on Rendezvous and every new Buick. Rendezvous CXL with available leather trim seating for 7. Third row seat folds flat for extra cargo. Plus VersaTrack, the next generation of all-wheel drive. Ride in comfortable luxury car, capabilities of an SUV. $2,002 bonus cash on every new Buick. See your Metro Detroit Buick dealer now.
So the guy says, it is high pile carpet. I am sorry.
It's no problem. It's just a good thing it didn't hit the floor. I'll be right back.
Yeah.
All gone. What?
Oops. Chi-Chi's salsa. Good no matter what.
He's the best in the world tattooing Dennis Rodman and more, and he's local Sunday.
This is responsible for opening a dialogue about race relations in this country.
That scene was really, really hard. Then I was covered with bruises. That just killed me because I was just thinking of, you know, somewhere in my history that happened because they were always selling children away from mothers and fathers.
If you can rationalize selling people, if you can rationalize owning people and whipping people, once you do that, you're capable of doing anything.
You know your name?
Kizzy. Kizzy Reynolds.
Kizzy Moore. I bought you. You're my property now. Cost a fair price. Enough for a payment on a cotton gin your overseer said.
The most horrible scene in Roots for me was the rape scene.
Right now. Now, Kizzy, I'd rather not hurt you, but I ain't got no time to play around.
I didn't fully understand it then, but you could tell the violence and the sense of the woman losing what was precious to her.
The thing that troubled me the most was that as a man, you couldn't do anything. You had to stand there, swallow your pride, and just watch.
I must commend the African woman. Here was a woman, a queen, worked like an animal. And then having to breed so that more would come forward. I honor her. If it hadn't been for her, we would not be here today.
Roots was a phenomenon because it was so real. I think it was shocking.
130, 135, 135, 130, 135.
The lad's made his choice.
Black people are slaves and white people own them. That's just the way it is.
I know. Just don't understand it, I guess.
Well, think of it this way, Kizzy. It's the natural way of things. I suppose it's because white folks are just naturally smarter than niggers.
I don't really have the energy to be angry at someone who's dead. If I feel anger, it's because people don't recognize that slavery has a legacy, and that for us, that legacy is racism.
I was in the South, I was in Montgomery, so I was being called, you know, the N-word a whole lot, and I would have to fight all the time, you know, because of it. And I was so full of questions as to why these people didn't like me so much.
I knew firsthand that some of the school kids that were growing up with me in the school were saying negative things about me and about African Americans. But I wasn't aware of how deep some of those feelings were.
Well, let's see now. I need...
Mr. Brent, I've been waiting a long time.
I'll take care of you when I'm good and ready. Now, you get...
I was here first.
Now, looky here, you. It's all right, Evan. I'll drop by a little later. No need for that now, eh?
A loaf of bread and a bag of grits.
America is like an enormous, mixed, dysfunctional family. And in order to understand where we are today, one has to look back. None of these emotions, none of these things that are going on in our nation are an accident.
When you were 15, you watched the epic TV series Roots. Yes. And developed an attitude about a white society, and your mom said to you, Michael, rise above it.
How did you know that? Actually, during that time, I was very, very angry because I was learning about the history of what happened to us. And that's what Roots did to me. It brought a lot of those feelings out of me that I didn't know that they were there. And I became very disturbed by it, and I became very angry, and I started to retaliate in school. And it took my mother to come to me and tell me, it's a history, it's something that you should never forget, but you can rise above it and make an impact and make a change.
Roots kind of created a polarization of blacks and whites in terms of feelings. I mean, you get up the next day and you go to work, and white people saw black folks in a different way. And then black folks saw white people in a different way.
You couldn't go up to an African American and say, that was awful, and I'm sorry your family experienced that, and I'm profoundly sorry that this is the legacy that we all carry with us. Somehow you couldn't say that.
My closest friend at the time happened to be a white kid, and I can remember seeing this film and something about our relationship changing. Well, I know this is maybe a controversial thing to say, but not everybody that I knew loved Roots.
Many people said, well, this has nothing to do with me. Well, of course, I think those people are wrong.
Slavery was so many years ago that people that blame the white people for slavery, to me, is like, so many years ago, get on with life.
A lot of people will say, well, it wasn't me. That was, you know, my great-grandfather or great-great-grandfather. Well, then, if you feel that way, if you feel it wasn't you, then don't take credit for Jefferson and Washington and Franklin and independence and World War II. Wasn't you.
Play me some music. Play me a song I want to hear. Tired all the time playing white folks songs. My own song to play. I want you to grow up. Tell her what kizzy really mean. Tell her about her grandma, and her grandpa, in the village back in Africa. Tell her about her peoples back there. So she know they weren't born to be no slave here in the white folks' land. Yeah. That's what I do, Fiddler. Fiddler, what do you think? Fiddler?
It was easier to identify with Kunta Kinte because Kunta Kinte had experienced freedom. He knew what freedom was. When he cried out for freedom, he knew what he was crying out for.
Most
slaves didn't know what the other side of freedom was. All they knew was, get this boot off my neck.
To be free means that the only marks that you might have are the marks that you decide to have, not because somebody whipped you.
Bella. Now you know how it feels to be free, Fiddler. Now you know what I always talking about. Ain't free a fine way to be, Fiddler? Being free ain't it a fine way to be? Fiddler.
Playing with my son Jordan, the first thing I had to learn was to get my game face on. Second was to take it down to his level.
Swoops, baseline J, yes!
He's done a lot of funny things. Sometimes we roll, sometimes we crawl, sometimes we bounce, sometimes we dribble. Occasionally, there's an incredible breakaway. It's the most fun you can have on or off the court. And best of all, every time I play with him, it's the most important game of my life. Just like you, Johnson & Johnson cares about how your kids feel.
Discover nutrients essential to skin. We put them in a body wash. Dove Nutrient Body Wash with nutrient beads, a formula for healthy-looking skin.
She's hot. No, she's not. He's right. She's a babe. No, she's not.
Here you go, guys.
That's my mom. You guys are gross.
The Sears Fitness Sale. From now through Saturday, all treadmills are on sale with 0% financing at America's #1 fitness store. Sears, where else?
As soon as I can afford the ring, will I don't need a ring.
Edmond Dantes had the perfect life until his best friend framed him.
You are under arrest. There will be justice.
Now, 10 years of training.
Good. Too good.
And 5 years of planning.
I will change my identity. I shall become a count.
All come down to one moment. Jim Caviezel, Guy Pearce, Richard Harris.
How did you ever call yourself my friend?
The Count of Monte Cristo, rated PG-13, starts January 25th.
It's here. Vaseline Intensive Care Renew and Protect Lotion with moisturizers plus retinol and UV protection for youthful-looking skin all over. So bring on the birthdays with Vaseline Intensive Care Renew and Protect.
Year, more than ever, one team, one goal, bringing home the gold. McDonald's, a worldwide Olympic partner.
NBC Tuesday, 8/7 Central. You're invited behind the scenes of the all-new InStyle Celebrity Weddings, presented by the new Hydrians for 6 weeks of lush, radiant hair color.
City Guys, all about us. Just deal. Skate. TNBC, Saturday mornings.
A people without a knowledge of its history is like a tree without its roots.
I had seen pictures of this guy, Alex Haley, with these people from Africa hugging him. I was like, wow, those are Africans? He's like me over here. They got together, you know. I was like, did they like him? You know, I didn't know what to think. I was like, wow, because up to that point, Encyclopedia Britannica was the only source of what I knew Africans to be from classwork.
Prior to Roots, everything was pretty much negative. We had the Jungle Stories, Tarzan.
I never thought about the cultural experience that African people had. My view was displayed by several Tarzan films. I'm embarrassed by this, but that's truly what I knew.
All of the impressions I had of black people were from the news, from motion pictures, and from TV, and pretty bad impressions.
The way she rubs, rub me up down. That's just the way she scrubs, rub me up down. She wears out all the stuff, she rubs and rubs her knuckles right on down to the nub.
I heard we were from Africa, but it never was something real to me, like the people were of me and I was of them. This guy named Alex Haley reached out and made a land bridge that gap between this continent and that continent for real.
There is still much food in your bowl. Come finish it. But Mother, I'm off. No, you are not. Come finish it.
The picture that Alex Haley created of Africa, for me, was just of ultimate beauty. It also gave a picture of strength. That's what I liked about Roots. You know, black people don't like to think about slavery because it feels weak. You know, you feel like somebody was able to come in and do what they wanted. And Roots kind of painted a picture that wasn't exactly like that.
They did indeed have this deep, rich culture that I never give them credit for.
One of the things that Roots triggered, I think in many, many Americans, is to search out their own roots. We weren't just born today, and it wasn't just the people on the Mayflower that had a background. We all had backgrounds. We all have roots.
Your second great-grandmother was Sarah Lyle Hook. She was born 1807, and she crossed the plains in a prairie schooner in the 1850s. Have you ever seen a picture of your second great-grandmother?
No, I have not.
Here she is.
I'll be damned. This is my second great...
That's right, your great-great-grandmother.
You've got all the names, Marshall, the Hooks, the...
Well, we've been working on you.
Looked like it was a long haul in the schooner.
After I watched Roots, I wanted to connect with Kunta Kinte in Africa, this wonderful, heroic black character that Alex Haley had depicted on screen as someone I could embrace and identify with. I began the process of searching for my family history by interviewing family elders. It never occurred to me that Grandpa Alfred, the man my mother talked about, described, talked about what he ate, talked about how he worked, was born a slave here at Somerset Place. Somerset Place was the 4th largest single slaveholding plantation in the state of North Carolina. Cumulatively, over 1,000 enslaved people lived here, including 4 generations of my family. I organized a homecoming. I wanted all of the descendants of the plantation, and in fact, all of the descendants of the owners, to come together. I needed to embrace all of these people that I'm suddenly finding I am related to. And in the middle of that, there's a tap on my shoulder, and I look around. There's Alex Haley.
I just flew out.
You told me he was in Morocco.
No, I just came back, and I was on a plane flying to LA.
He had paid his own way. He found his way to Somerset Place, rented a car in Norfolk, drove 2 hours, and got here for that day's activities.
Yesterday I showed them the story and said, what the hell, let's go.
He had to be there because the homecoming was a result of Roots. That was a turning point in the way this plantation would be seen. No one could view it without seeing, oh, that sea of black faces. And if you see that sea of black faces, You certainly can't deny they came from somewhere, so they must have come from the ancestors who were here.
Somebody explain how we're related. I know the Spruill family.
After the first homecoming in 1986, I was offered a job to come and do special programming. My focus has been reconstructing buildings in the slave community here so that no one will ever forget again to include us. Homecomings are just one-day events.
Move in, girl.
The buildings are something of permanency. It means that not only will you include African American history today, you'll include it forever.
Don't you never forget who you are. Your great-granddaddy's name was Kunta Kinte, son of a Moro, a Mandinka warrior. Proud. You be proud, too.
People who do not know where they come from are people with no direction. It's important that you know where you come from. It's important that you honor those who've paved the way.
More than 600 African Americans died on this plantation. 300, almost 400 of whom we can name. We are acknowledging people who are buried here. We don't know where the grave sites are, but at some point you've got to acknowledge the existence of a human being. Moses Sr., 1769-1819, Judy, birth date not determined, presumed dead, 1803. Sarah's unnamed child, 1787. Taylor Jack, birth date not determined, died 1803. Dick Buncombe.
You'll never think of a yeast infection the same way again. Monistat introduces the one-dose ovule, a soft gel insert that goes straight to the infection. It's part of the new Monistat 1 combination pack, which brings you fast relief that starts immediately. Not so with that diflucan pill, which has to go through your entire system, so relief can take up to 24 hours. The new Monistat 1 ovule combination pack, the kind of relief you expect from the #1 doctor-recommended brand.
Roots, for the first time on DVD.
Behold, Kunta Kinte.
Experience the story that forever changed the heart of a nation.
Someday, we're gonna be free.
Roots. Buy it today on DVD.
Goodbye, everyone. I'll miss you.
All washers and dryers on sale. And get 0% financing until June 2002, plus free delivery with mail-in rebate. Only at Sears. Where else?
You're watching Roots, celebrating 25 years on NBC.
Dateline Friday, a special preview 2 days before the Golden Globes. Intimate interviews with the hottest stars. A Dateline People magazine exclusive, next on NBC.
NBC Tuesday, in the coming weeks on Frasier, Niles arrested. Plus, the proposal you've been waiting for. And on an all-new Scrubs, 6 people, 2 love triangles, and we have only one thing to say. Don't miss the last 2 minutes. NBC Tuesday.
So, you finally own your own home. You own the leaks, you own the peeling paper, and you own that Harvest Gold refrigerator. The only thing that isn't yours is the taste. That belongs to the other woman, also known as the previous owner. So what do? Redecorate. Discover the great indoors, a new store with everything you need to remodel and redecorate. All the design help you need, all the selection you want, at beautiful prices every day. So change that horrid little fixture, redo those dreary drapes, banish that ancient bathtub, and add a whole new kitchen while you're at it. Yes, you did it. This home is finally yours. Let the doorbell ring. Come discover the great indoors in Shelby Township or at our newest location in Novi and take a whole new look at redecorating.
Chuck Gaedica's Big Picture Weather, local first at 11 on WDIV Local 4.
I can't believe it's 25 years. It doesn't seem like that.
It's really almost impossible for me to take in that it was a quarter of a century ago that I was sitting in front of the television watching Roots.
It seemed like just yesterday that Roots was on television.
I thought the show was terrific. I thought it was a great show. But did I think all these people were going to come and watch it? No. You can't predict, such an enormous hit.
Ladies and gentlemen, and you, the viewers all over America, I wonder if you realize what you have done. There was a myth long believed that television projects such as Roots had virtually no audience appeal in this country. And your phenomenal response has shattered that myth. We thank you.
I was living in Switzerland in '77, and it's amazing, actually, that Roots wasn't just seen in America, but worldwide.
The great thing about it was that I was in Monaco and turned on the television, and there I was in Roots, talking in French.
Et j'ai donné mon cœur pour connaître la sagesse et
You don't realize how much people just loved Roots.
My daughters and I saw every single episode. It was like a family celebration.
Now I'm asking y'all here to pray for this union that God done made. And pray that they stays together. And that they don't do nothing to get themselves sold away from one another.
Roots showed a story about people who survived what may be one of the most difficult things any group of people has gone through. The way family overcame those struggles was staying together as best they could.
Y'all sure y'all want to get married?
Like does.
Jump over the broom into the land of matrimony.
When Kunta Kinte and Belle got married, they jumped the broom, and today in Black weddings, we jump the broom to acknowledge back then that we weren't allowed to have ceremonies and weren't allowed to be married. And so we invented our own ceremony. So Roots put it out there that these are the good things that come out of horrific circumstances.
because of Roots, we see that there has been a difference in the respect and in the acceptance of people of every color.
Alex Haley's legacy has been tremendous.
I don't think he really understood the absolute impact he could have on generations to come.
When Roots hit television and came into our homes, it was an education that we all needed.
Teachers all over the country made Roots, the miniseries, part of the teaching program and assigned their students, in addition to reading the book, to stay home at night and watch the miniseries.
We celebrate Roots today, 25 years later, because today we know who we are.
I think one of the biggest reasons to celebrate is that people still remember Roots. They still remember rushing home from work to watch Kunta Kinte.
No one who ever saw it forgot it. It shaped an entire generation.
I'm definitely a different person because of what I saw in the Roots miniseries.
There'll be 50-year anniversary shows and 75-year anniversary shows and 100-year anniversary shows. Roots is going to be around as long as we're around.
Roots was entertaining, yes. I mean, that is part of the mandate here. That's part of what we do. We entertain. But Roots brought so much more to the table. It was educational, absolutely. It was enlightening, you bet. It tended to ennoble us in our everyday lives. Roots was a prime example of how we literally lift ourselves up and light the way for each other.
Let's go.
No, not yet.
Tell them, I know you're sorry to be leaving, but we gotta be moving.
I've been sitting here trying to remember. I knows every chink and every wall the winter wind blow through. This ain't never been our home. Never belonged to us, no way. This is Massa Harvey's nigger quarters. And we ride out of here, I ain't never gonna think on it again.
Well, go on then, Mew.
The symbolism of moving out to freedom should constantly be with us, because the struggle is far from over. We're still moving out to freedom.
It's amazing what the human spirit is, that you can stumble and fumble and fall and still amazingly rise. That in itself, if it did nothing else, it shows the human spirit at its finest, that still you rise, go from darkness into darkness, and the darkness carpeted with figures of fear, and the hounds behind, and the hunters behind, and one more river to cross. And oh my God, will I ever reach that getting up morning? Will I ever get through this? Will I ever overcome slavery? Will I ever overcome the cruelties and need and want and ignorance and poverty? Will I ever? And still laugh, and still sing, and still teach, and still dare to love somebody, and to have the unmitigated gall to accept love in return. That's amazing.
Roots, celebrating 25 years, is sponsored in part by Dove and Sears.
She's yin, she's yang. Erin is a free spirit. Leslie always has her head on straight. She's the most amazing artist. She's into computer sciences, R&B, classic rock. We both like the Dove in our own way. All I know is I don't have razor burn right now. It cut me dry.
Dove combines strong protection with 1/4 moisturizer. It's the antiperspirant that really gets skin.
Dove gives back. It's soft. I'm realizing that we have more and more similarities.
Order an Hitachi projection TV at Sears, and we'll deliver it in time for the big game.
Corner of the end zone, touchdown!
And get 0% for 1 year on all projection TVs. Delivery guaranteed by February 3rd, only at Sears. Where else?
Hey, it's your world. Let AT&T connect you to it. Because with access to technology and to the people working with your community, your personal vision can become an unstoppable force, creating a world without limits. Go ahead.
Live boundless.
There have been a lot of headaches in this house, but only one headache medicine, Tylenol, for fast relief of even tough headaches. Because sometimes the difference between noise and music is all in your head.
The Olympic Torch Relay presented by Coca-Cola. With the nation united more than ever before, Americans proudly watch on as the Olympic torch makes its way to Salt Lake City, home of the 2002 Winter Games. In 21 days, Olympic glory returns to America on NBC.
NBC Friday's Law & Order SVU is all new.
The hunt's the most exciting part.
Is this boy genius?
Seems like your interests run pretty dark.
A serial killer.
This kid knows all the tricks.
You've never met evil like this.
That is one cold kid.
All new Law & Order SVU, NBC Tonight. This February, television's biggest events are on NBC. So sit back and hold on tight. Rachel must choose between Joey and Ross, Matt Damon and Rosie O'Donnell on Will and Grace. Niles proposes to Daphne. All new episodes of America's favorite dramas. Plus, the Daytona 500, Michael Jordan in the NBA All-Star Game, and the biggest event of them all, the Winter Olympics from Salt Lake City. It's all happening this February, only on NBC.
It's Hollywood's most unpredictable party, the Golden Globe Awards, Sunday at 7, 6 Central on NBC.